Hello, my name is Brandon Sexton, and I am a graduate student planning to graduate this spring with my teaching certificate and Master's of Arts in Education in Curriculum and Instruction. And this vlog is about a lesson plan that I had for a class, and my goal was to use the smartboard technology in a way that a lot of people might not really think of using it. And most of the time when we think smartboards, we think actually using the smartboard itself. And what I decided to do was use the notebook that comes with it, where you create the slides for it, where kids can use that even on just on the computers that they're using to create maps in a world geography class. And the goal in this particular lesson was for the Balkans, which is an area that I have a personal affinity to and think that is kind of underplayed in most scenarios in world history, with the exception of World War I and Franz Ferdinand. And so what I did is I decided that I was going to have students be surrogates, so to say, of the Secretary of State. And their goal was to research the Balkans and exactly how the borders have changed through time since the beginning of the 19th century, and create maps of the political borders. And that was the first part of the lesson. And the second part of the lesson, which I was really excited about as well, would be the demographics of the area, the ethnicity, the religion. I put EU membership, former communist nations. Another idea would be language, and also simply the geographical features of the area and what defines it, maybe the reason why it is the way it is, and why countries are divided the way they are, similar to how the states of the United States are defined by the Mississippi River or the Ohio. And so I really think that I created something that could be useful. And the kind of the goal for student learning in this would be for students to really get an understanding of the fluidity of borders and boundaries and names, particularly in the Balkans area. But some of the obstacles that I've kind of thought of are, let me find them here. The first one that I could think of is that it's a new tool. A lot of kids are never going to have really played with this. They're going to be played with MS Paint and that sort of stuff. But they're not going to have played with Notebook, and there's going to be a lot of things that they are going to be kind of fooling around with and things that they could actually use. And there's going to be some time maybe wasted. And so time for adjustment. Sloan, in her screencast review, said that she really feels like this could be a homework assignment to finish for the next day, which I would agree with. I think the only issue would be the notebook program, but I think it's going to take a while to do this assignment. It took me an hour personally, even though I didn't really know where any resources were. I gave students a few hints for a few of them, but overall I used Google search and various other methods to find maps. The actual interface itself, with using a mouse to draw mountains, just little tiny V's, upside down V's, it would be was difficult, and you can see that in my slides that I had a little bit of trouble with that. But me also being very artistically challenged, I had some issues with that to begin with. But that could be something that could frustrate students, particularly students that might have to need it to be perfect, which it has the autocorrect feature, but once again, that kind of takes up time. And so those are kind of some of the obstacles that I've found. The goals in this would be that this would open up a world for students to use the smartboard technology to potentially even create lessons for their own later on during the class. An example would be, perhaps I would give a student the requirement to do the geography of a certain state in America, and they'd have to do the geography. They had to draw major landmarks. They'd have to do maybe the demographic background. They have to do the county borders, that sort of stuff, and it'd give them the opportunity to play around with that and design something. And also, even in other classes, they could do the same thing. They could use the smartboard technology instead of PowerPoint to their advantage. And that's kind of an overall goal. And then also they're having to write a letter to the Secretary of State, which I think is really crucial as a skill that you're going to need later on in life, particularly with cover letters and that sort of stuff for when you're applying with jobs. So overall, I do like this lesson. I think Sloan brought up a lot of great points. I think sometimes my lesson itself is a little bit ambiguous. It doesn't really describe exactly what needs to be done, which is something that I probably should clear up. But at the same point, I think that this is a lesson that needs to be fluid because, let's face it, it's technology itself is going to be fluid. These boundaries of these countries are fluid. And so to permanently stamp something on a few of those things, I think example would be I would need to make sure that the group is assigned. Like obviously that would be mine to do, and I'd need to put that in the lesson. And then also to make sure that they know that the language and ethnicity and stuff is for modern times, though that stuff really hasn't changed that much, and that's the reason why those political boundaries is kind of the interesting thing, and that's kind of what I was trying to draw out of the letter, is that sort of stuff doesn't really change that often. You can even look at the United States. It's changing now massively because of immigrants, but we're an immigrant country, whereas the Balkans people are getting out of, not going into. So overall, it was just there's a few things that I need to do, but overall, I really have a good feeling about that lesson. So thanks, guys, for listening. I appreciate it. I think that we'll see how some form of this lesson might come out. I'm teaching World History 2 this year for my student teaching, and it could be a lesson that I could pull out, particularly during the World War I era. I could, kind of have students do this if that is within the curriculum that I'm going to be teaching. But thanks for listening, guys, and I appreciate it. And you guys have a great night. Go Steelers.